happens wherever you are as well. In particular, these ULEZ zones, these congestion zones, with apparently absolutely vital to keep our air clean. And yet, evidence emerged at the weekend that Sadiq Khan's office tried to discredit and even silence scientists who found that his ultra-low emission zone policy had little impact on pollution, despite all of his claims to the contrary. Let's talk to Tory Minister for London, Paul Scully MP, who joins us now. Good morning to you.
Morning to you, Julia.
Thank you for joining us. I mean, look, this is something an awful lot of us have known for a long time, that these ULEZ zones actually don't make a big difference. But what we've seen here is private emails which show the London Mayor's Deputy for Environment and Energy, Shirley Rodriguez, telling a lead scientist involved in being paid, by the way, hundreds of thousands of pounds by the taxpayer, that basically their findings didn't show enough of an impact. And could they please, adjust what they've got to say? And, they were happy to do so.
No, absolutely. I think the further you get out of a city as the size of London, clearly the less impact something like ultra-low emission zone is going to have. So when you're looking at the very centre, the original ULEZ that was introduced, I think it can have an impact because you can actually, there's great alternatives. But you can see here when the mayor and his deputy mayor are doubling down on this sledgehammer to crack a nut, which is going to affect businesses, charities and the lowest paid people in and around London. And to the point that they're paying this guy, the Imperial College, this department, £800,000
of our money, taxpayers' money.
Exactly, to prove the point for their, spending a further £250 million to have this sledgehammer to crack it up. That's going to affect so many people. Doubling down on it, trying to lean on them, whilst when the study that you cite that showed that there's a next to no change here, less than 3%. Of change. When Emma Best, our Assembly member, challenged the Deputy Mayor, Shirley Rodriguez, on this, she was, Shirley Rodriguez raised the idea it's like being a climate change denier. This is absolutely appalling.
So that said, look, but I mean, these scientists, this is Professor Frank Kelly, there's also a set of emails that disclose which show he was quite happy to say, oh, what would you like me to say then, please, about this or that, and was quite happy to be, tell me the form of words you'd like me to use, thank you very much, Mayor's office. So, they were quite happy to take this money and to say whatever they wanted to say. The trouble is they had a report where they had an awful lot of academics in it saying you can't say that, and there was dissent involved, and they simply couldn't manufacture the data enough to make it say what Sadiq Khan's office wanted it to say. But Tories sitting there criticising the expansion of the ULEZ zone, but you're quite happy to have the ULEZ zone. Your candidate, I mean, you almost became, you were one of the front runners to be the candidate yourself. Now it's Susan Hall who's the Tory candidate for the election next year, but still supporting the ULEZ zone as it exists today, which still costs people £12.50 to drive into.
As I said, I talked about the central emission zone, and I think that's right to keep the original centre. I think when we were already talking about the extending it, because it can have an effect. You do it over a period of time. You actually take people with you on that journey. So when people are going out and buying cars, they can have an informed choice, not doing what the mayor's doing with this rushed expansion to areas. If you look at Enfield, there are literally massive, a good chunk of green belt there. There was open green land where people driving on the roads around that are going to be charged £12.50. It's unnecessary there, and you don't do it within a matter of months when you're forcing people out of their cars rather than that informed choice that I was talking about.
OK. And what do you also, can I ask you something else as well? What do you make of this extraordinary revelation, which was accidentally, I think, published on the Greater London Authority's website, and this is for the London Mayor, showing the words in an official guide to the branding of the London Mayor, which showed an extraordinary picture of a young white family holding hands as they walked on the banks of the Thames, and over this image, mum, dad, two kids, white, crucially, it says, doesn't represent real Londoners. And how basically they should, whoever is doing the branding of the mayor should make sure they include very diverse families, and him looking very dynamic, etc. But a family that is white doesn't represent real Londoners. Well, I mean, I spent yesterday with my imaginary white family in London. What do you make of that website picture?
Yeah, I mean, look, it goes to speak to what this mayor is all about. He doesn't talk about crime enough, about housing, transport, well, he doesn't do anything about it. Instead, he talks about values. Now, London is and concentrates on that to divert. London is a diverse city. It's we've got a lot of people from right the way around the world. It's important that we actually recognise that and make sure that they feel included. But that's not a detriment of white families around London. You
But by the way, I mean, we have got a very, very high ethnic minority population in London, but I think 54% of people in London are white. Absolutely. Whether born here or not, but they're white. So, I mean, I'm the majority. The idea that that doesn't represent... I wouldn't go to Lagos and go, oh, why are there not pictures of white families like mine in the advertising? I wouldn't question that. I'd go, oh, this is a black majority country. What's the big deal?
I've just got back from Bangalore from the G20 Tech Summit, where I'm tech minister as well. And, you know, obviously an amazing hub of technology in India. And... clearly, as you rightly said, they were celebrating India and Indians. They weren't celebrating whatever the white population of Bengaluru is. And
is Sadiq Khan a racist?
I think he just doubles down on and you know, he will. I'm not going to bandy those sort of words around.
Oh no, but if someone who's obsessed with colour and thinks that, you know, white families don't represent real Londoners. If I said black families don't represent real Londoners, I know what everyone would call me.
I think your phrase about being obsessed with colour is a better one, to be honest, because racism suggests xenophobia and hatred for something. But actually, what he's doing is he's just sitting there doubling down on looking at various minorities, and instead of actually just saying, well, how can we get them all included, he's just talking about those. And as you rightly say, he's not talking about the 54%.
OK, Paul Scully, Minister for London. Quick